This is Dean Bostic, and welcome to my television show, Charities. For those of you that haven't seen my show, I increase awareness and exposure of local charities, nonprofits, fundraisers, and causes in the neighborhood. And today we have Tamara Clough with the ACS. And Tamara, tell us a little bit more about what you do and what the ACS is.
Well, thank you for having me here today. I really
Absolutely.
appreciate you you giving me this time. So with ACS CAN, it's a derivative of the American Cancer Society. So the American Cancer Society is one of the biggest nonprofit organizations that helps bring awareness to cancers, treatments, and they help people get the type of their needs met. Like, for example, if there's disparities, like they need a ride or something like that. Plus, they spend a lot of money and a lot of time fundraising so that they can help fight cancer.
Okay.
So that's one part. So that's the American Cancer Society. The ACS CAN is the American Cancer Society Action Network. We're the more political side. What we do is we spend time focusing on our representatives that are here in Washington State. And because your representatives, we're the constituents and they're our representatives, we want to make sure our voices are heard. Mm-hmm. So if there's something that we find that's very important that will help cancer not cancer crushed, but bring awareness to raise money or something like that, then we will ask our representatives by writing letters, sending text messages, tweeting, those type of things. So I'm the ambassador lead for this area.
Okay.
And what I've recently been doing is in communications with Derek Kilmore, we're trying to make sure that he signs a petition to help make sure that people after they've had cancer get the type of care that they need.
Such as?
So when you go through cancer, everybody thinks about, okay, we're spending money and we're raising money so that we can fight it. Mm-hmm. But after you've had cancer, there's this whole other life that you have to deal with. There's the mental health aspect of it, making sure that you are, you're here, you fought through everything, your body has changed. Mm-hmm. Everything is different in your life, right? And so how do you deal with that? Some people have, if you've had breast cancer, you've had augmentation, you've had parts of your body removed. Mm-hmm. How do you deal with the new you? Yeah. And so what we're trying to do is get this bill passed so that there's more money available to people after cancer has happened to you.
Like post-care?
Exactly.
Kind of. Okay.
Yeah, so they call it palliative care.
Palliative, okay.
Yes. So what we're doing is we're meeting with our representatives, mm-hmm. Patty Murray, Maria Cantwell, and those type of people to make sure that they're on board and signing these petitions and making that money available to us. The next thing is we just finished with ACS CAN. We just finished being part of the Tobacco 21. So that's when we raised the age of the sale of tobacco from 18 to 21.
Great, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So it's been hard because people have a lot of questions. They're like, well, if you're 18 years old and if you want to smoke, then what's the big deal? The problem is a lot of the people who are smoking isn't just the way it used to be, a box of Camels or Marlboro or whatever, right? They've got all these really great new contraptions,
yeah.
Juul, and things like that. So what's happening is in that little container of a Juul, let me back up. We have a problem with how they're marketing these items. Okay. So there are kids in school who will take a little Juul pack, and the flavors are like bubble gum and peppermint schnapps. I mean, all these things, right? So you've got all these flavors, and then they can take that flavor, and you see your cup right there? Mm-hmm. It's a clear liquid. You just put a little dot, and you can drink it. You don't have to smoke it. And that's the thing. Kids are putting it into their drinks. They can put it into their food. They can do whatever. They even have kids who, you know how you wear a sweatshirt and you have the little strings hanging down, the little drawstring?
Yeah.
You can dip those drawstrings into the solution and suck on those during class. And it gives you that same effect as if you had been smoking cigarettes.
What does it do to your body?
Oh, well, see, that's the problem. It's hard to monitor it because it's so new
Okay.
in that it's just now being tested. So the outcome is not sure. Now we know that you've got popcorn lung and those type of things, right? But there's no law that says how these items should be mixed. So you can go into a shop and have them mix like bubble gum and grape, but there's no law at this point that says it has to be a certain amount of ounce to become something. So people can put too much of whatever. They can put, and since there's no nobody watching, you can put anything in it.
Oh, man.
Now, I mean, there's no case, I haven't heard or read of any cases where people are being poisoned. But
But it's a
potentially,
possibility,
if you wanted to be really cheap and you're like, you know what, I don't have enough peppermint, I'm just going to add a little bit of this, you know, and there you're done.
Yeah.
So we're trying to make, so the problem is that not only are it's geared towards younger people, these younger people are in school with kids who are like 16, 14, 13. Clahalia Secondary School has 6th grade all the way up to 12th graders. So if you have a 16-year-old sitting around just smoking on these, they could potentially hand it to a child. And that's why we wanted the age to be raised to 21.
Because they'll be out of school.
Because they'd be out of school.
Got you. Okay.
Exactly. So we fought against that. And one of the things was like, well, if you can fight for your country, then you can totally, you know, smoke and do whatever you want. Well, here's the thing. The military doesn't want you if you're bogged down with, you know, bad health because you're smoking. You can't pass the test.
Right.
So you can't do anything for your country if you can't fight for it because you've got, you know, breathing problems and all this stuff happening because of the
Cancer.
not the cancer, the smoking, the okay, sorry about that.
No, that's okay.
No, it's the type of smoking.
It's all bad, by the way.
It's all bad. No, the vaping. There you go.
Vape, oh,
I'm
yeah.
so sorry.
No problem.
Yeah,
I forget about that sometimes.
So with
too.
all the vaping.
Yeah, that's a lot of stuff. So is that the same as Juul?
Yes,
'Cause I
it's
never
all.
heard of Juul before.
Yeah, so Juul is it's one of the more famous ones, and they're the ones. I mean, there's like thousands of flavors that can be used.
Yeah, I see it all the time. I don't vape, but I see it. You know, I do see it
Exactly.
a lot. So go ahead.
So in that bill that we proposed, we asked that they raise the smoking, not the smoking. They raised the sale to 21. So we were focused on getting it out of the schools, and therefore people who are 18 and older, I mean 18-year-olds are still in school. We don't want them to purchase it. So we got that raised. So as of in January, the sale age will be 21.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Because of some of your work.
Yeah, that's what we were doing. We went to the Capitol. We took it to the different representatives for our areas, and we were like, this is what we need and this is what we want, and they heard us.
Now, this deserves a high five. And let me get one for that.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you.
So yeah, what else you got going on? What's the
So the
process? Or?
well, okay. So I got cancer back in 2015.
Oh.
And I was diagnosed with cervical cancer, stage 2. And, you know, the biggest part when people are afraid of is hearing that you have cancer.
So how did
right?
you know that you had it?
Well, it was a lot of trial and error. Unfortunately, cervical cancer is something that is usually HPV related. So are you familiar with HPV?
Sort of, but not specifically.
Okay, so HPV is something that about 80% of the population has. If you are sexually active, you can get HPV from your partner. It doesn't all turn into cancer. It just, like a cold or something, right? If you get a cold, your cold will have you coughing and sneezing, right? My cold, because I ended up with cancer, it could kill me. It could be pneumonia. So you know what I'm saying? So you have HPV because you're having sex. That's why they're saying, use condoms, get yourself checked, those type of things, right? So I had cervical cancer from the HPV virus. And there was a lot of things. There's bleeding that's involved. Cramping. There's all these different things. And I finally, after several trips to my provider, was able to see. They found that something wasn't right, and then I ended up going to the UW.
So one thing people do need to know that you brought up is, if you are sexually active, as far as using, protection. If not, then, things can happen.
Right, and then also, the other thing is there's a vaccination.
Okay.
So there's the HPV vaccination that's been around. People are concerned about it. They're like, oh, it's so new. But actually, the HPV vaccination has been around for 20 years. So you have to think about it. In order for a vaccination to be available for the public, it has to go through a lot of...
channels, huh?
Yeah, it has to go through a ton of channels. So you definitely have to make sure that they're doing all the trials and they're going through all of this stuff in order for it to be available to the public. So the HPV vaccination's been around for almost 20 years. And what that does is there's 3 types of HPV that numbers, they're numbers, so they're labeled like 13, 18, and 16, I believe. Anyways, those numbers are labeled, and those are what causes cervical cancer.
What do those numbers mean? Or is it a bunch of difference?
No.
No, it's okay. Go ahead.
Yeah. So what happens is you can transfer it to your partner. So along with that cervical cancer, you can also get throat cancer. You can get anal cancer. You can get penile cancer. And the throat cancer is the one that's more prevalent right now because there's no way to screen for it. So it's hard. So what we're trying to do right now is bring awareness and getting kids vaccinated starting at the age of 9 all the way up to 26. You can get vaccinated. And then we could eradicate cervical cancer, HPV-related cancers if kids are getting vaccinated. So that's the thing that's happening now. So a lot of kids are vaccinated already. When you go in and get your regular shots, your doctor is already asking your parents, hey, can you sign this? We're going to go ahead and get your vaccinations done. And people are saying, well, if you get vaccinated for HPV, then that's automatically going to make your child want to become promiscuous. No, because there are a lot of vaccinations out there. I mean, you get vaccinated for chicken pox now. It doesn't make you want to run out there and let me go out there and rub some chicken pox juice on me. Okay, people don't do that. But if that was the way to get chicken pox, so vaccinations don't necessarily mean that you're going to run out and try to prove them wrong or prove them right. Just being vaccinated is taking care of your child in the long run. Right now, you get them vaccinated at 9 so that when they become sexually active adults, the chances of them getting a HPV cancer is smaller.
Wow. Now, I really want to give you props again for going through all the channels to get this bill passed and get ages raised, because a lot of people don't know what's going on. I mean, you letting them know about different types of cancer, how you can contract cancer, a lot of good stuff that a lot of people don't know. So I really appreciate that. So we're going to take a few minutes of break, and then we'll come back with Tamara Clough with a few more questions.
Right.
And we'll be right back.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hello co-host of Dean Bostic, and welcome back to my television show, Charities. And today we're talking with Tamara Clough with the ACS. And Tamara, you've been doing really well. How did you get started doing public speaking?
So it's interesting. I think actually you and I met at my very first public speaking. I was just coming out of cancer recovery, and my provider said, you know, we're doing this thing where the American Cancer Society has and the NFL have joined together to do this thing called Crucial Catch. So we'd love you to come down and talk about your story. And so I went to do that, and from there, sharing my story, I was asked to talk about it more often for my employer now. And so, but I still do a lot of guest speaking for the American Cancer Society. So I've gone and talked on, they have a once a year like appreciation cruise. I've gone and spoken there and shared my story with, you know, other cancer survivors, bringing awareness. And then also I've had an opportunity to do this. This is amazing. Thank you so much for having me. And just getting a chance to speak publicly anytime I can about, you know, what's going on with different cancers. I think the biggest thing that I notice is that people aren't talking about it. People are afraid to talk about cancer, right? You know, there's this stigma, this taboo, and especially if it's something that's cervical, because you're like, okay, well, this is a cancer that I received, I was having sex, right? And so this is how I got it. So it's kind of like shameful to talk about it. There's, you know, when you get breast cancer, that's something that you can pinpoint somewhere in your family. And so you need to go through, if your mother had breast cancer, then the chances of you having breast cancer are higher.
Oh, I see. Okay, so it doesn't just develop
No.
per se.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Or if you have, or colorectal cancer is the cancer that affects the colon, right? So if you have colorectal cancer, the chances of you getting it are higher. So you need to be checked. Usually colorectal cancer, you get checked at 50. But if your parents have it, then you need to start getting checked earlier than that, maybe even your 40s. And if you have any difficulties, if there's bleeding or anything, you need to get checked right away. There have been people that have been as young as 25 who've gotten colorectal cancer, which is something that usually happens to the older generation. And then, but people don't talk about it. They don't feel comfortable talking about it. And as a Black female, I think it's important that we bring awareness.
Absolutely.
And don't worry about the stigma so much, but worry about trying to live, you know, trying to survive, and being able to support each other while you're doing that.
Okay. So what are you up to now? What's going on? Or what's coming up, I should say.
What's coming up? So actually, me and 11 other representatives from Washington State, we're going to be flying down to Washington, D.C. in September. We're doing a mass lobby day. So a lot of other organizations that are nonprofit are getting together in Washington, D.C. to meet with our representatives from our different states. So when I'm there, I'll be talking to Derek Kilmore, meeting with Maria Cantwell, and Patty Murray to talk about some of the issues that I was explaining earlier about the Tobacco 21. Basically, letting them know how much we appreciate their support and talking about what we're going to do in the future with them. And the thing that people don't understand is, as a constituent, they work for us. So if we don't have people who care and who get together and remind them that there are things that need to be done and how to vote for these bills, then they can't take care of us. And that's what they want to do, is we nominate them, we put them in office so that they can give us the things that we need.
Now, do people come to you a lot saying, well, you work with people that have cancer. Do they come to you a lot and say, you know, okay, I'm not feeling well, in so many words. Could you check me out, or what are symptoms? Or
Well, I actually the job that I do is in preventative cancers. So what I end up doing is I call patients that we have that are ready for screenings. And so when I do preventative cancers, that means I'm calling you and saying, you have no symptoms, but you're the right age to start coming in and having these types of screenings done. So for breast cancer, you can do that from the age of 30 on up. If you're for colorectal cancer, that's starting at the age of 50 all the way up. And then if you're going to do anything that's cervical, PAPs, those type of things, you're going to start at the age of 21 all the way up to come in and get your annual, checkups. Now, once you get in, your provider will decide, are you coming back every year? Are you coming back every other year or whatever? But what I'm doing is I'm trying to get you in because that preventative care is going to help you, hopefully prevent you from getting a cancer or catching it in the very early stages, or even possibly, coming in and catching other things. It might not even be cancer that we're catching. But if you're coming in and getting those regular preventative screenings, that testing, you're taking care of your body. Usually people walk into the doctor's office, you're already sick. People don't come in and go, I feel good. I think I'm going to go to the doctor. Usually you go, I don't feel well. You go and you have a specific thing that you want the doctor to take care of, and you don't care about, a cancer screening or anything. You're like, I have this cough. Please worry about my cough. I don't want to talk about this. So people need to come in for their annual checkups, preventing cancer, and those type of things to,
Increase awareness, kind of let them know what's going on.
Yeah.
So smoking is not, or cancer isn't just caused by smoking.
No.
It's a lot of different things. A lot of people think it's caused by smoking cigarettes, but it's
obesity.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yes, you have a higher, with colorectal cancer, if you're obese, high blood pressure, diabetes, you have more of a chance of getting those type of things. So you have to everything, the way you eat, the way you take care of yourself. I mean, of course, yes, if you, people who have taken care of themselves have gotten cancer, but your chances skyrocket when you are dealing with diabetes, obesity, hypertension, and those type of things.
Oh, that is so informative. So tell us what other kind of things that you, I know Breast Cancer Awareness Month is
October.
Okay, and what do you do? What do you guys do?
So usually we try to have a mammogram, mobile available. People can come in and get their mammograms. We have a lot of the insurance companies have really great incentives during that time period.
Oh, nice.
That's a lot of things. So there's, in our area, we have United Health, Amerigroup, and Molina. And so those particular insurances, which are usually through Apple Health, are available through Apple Health, have incentives to have you take care of yourself. So if you're, like I was saying, diabetes or whatever, if you're taking care of yourself, there's little gift cards that they'll give you to come in and do those things. And a lot of people don't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Oh, well, and that is really good. So what type of, you said you got started public speaking a while back. So what do you find that people, what's the most type of cancer that you've seen? What's most common? If you can answer that.
It's definitely breast cancer. I've run into a lot more women that have been affected. Family members have been affected by breast cancer. They say that we are one person away from knowing somebody who has cancer. Everybody knows someone who has cancer. That's awful.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Yeah. So you know me, right? I'm the one person. I mean, now your camera person, he now knows somebody who's had cancer. Everybody knows at least one person who has had cancer, and that's really scary.
So it's not always necessarily about, a lot of people think about how sad and depressing cancer is, which, of course it is, but a lot of people take it more positive. I mean, not the way you get it, but take it more as like, okay, it's not going to end my life. I'm not going to to die from this per se. You have to look at it a different way. A lot of support, a lot of great people like Tamara helping out. A lot of great bills are being passed. Thanks to you. Thanks for your help. And yeah, we definitely would like you to come back and kind of let us know what's going on, maybe before Breast Cancer Awareness Month or somewhere around there. Kind of let us know. Oh, by the way, do you find a lot of people showing up for the Breast Cancer Awareness Month and
Oh
things you
yeah,
guys do?
yeah. People have great stories to share all the time.
And do you have one? I mean, not mentioning any names, but anything brief that somebody shared with you?
For breast cancer awareness.
Yeah. It's like maybe somebody told you how they got it or just anything
Well,
that you make action.
I know that recently I dealt with a patient who couldn't afford the treatment. She couldn't afford to go to the doctor and get those type of things done, but there's programs out there that will help pay for it. So it was really great to be able to give her the paperwork to fill out, and then she could go get her mammogram and find out that she didn't have cancer, but just to go get that done because it's so expensive. So it was really great to just be able to find a way to help her.
Wow, that was good. I want to give you thanks again for everything you're
Thanks
doing.
for having me.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'd love to have you back. A lot of great information. And everyone, thank you so much for tuning in with Miss Tamara Clough with the ACS. And before we sign off, let us know what ACS stands for again, just so people will know.
American Cancer Society Action Network.
Action Network. And specifically you,
Oh, I am
preventative
cancers. That's what I work in.
Okay. And just briefly, just let people know briefly. I just want to be sure everybody understands and that we don't miss anything. So briefly, what you do is?
I get in touch, well, for ACS CAN, I'm the lead ambassador for this area, and I work with our representatives to make sure that they're voting and signing on to petitions that help further.
Prevent it that way.
Yes.
Got you. Okay. Beautiful. Yeah. So sorry if I'm asking questions over and over
No
again.
No problem.
But,
I'm glad to clarify.
A lot of people are just tuning in. They want to know. They're just like, who's this lady? And I'm glad you're breaking it down for us. So and clarifying. Really appreciate that. Is there any type of website people can go to? Or if they have any questions, could
they can definitely go on to ACS CAN website, which is also, like I said, connected to the American Cancer Society. A lot of really great information about numbers, statistics, how you can help, how you can donate, how you can volunteer, like I do.
Do you have a lot of volunteers?
Yes, lots of volunteers. As a matter of fact, a lot of volunteers. Like, I'm a volunteer. I don't work for them. I don't get paid. What I do for them is because I want the word of how to help and cancer awareness to be out there. So.
Me too. Yeah, thanks for letting me help you. Well, again, I want you to come back, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hey, it's Dean Bostic, and welcome back. I want to thank everyone for viewing my show. Thank everyone that's been viewing, and I really appreciate my audience. And we always have a lot of good information that we give to the audience. And please pass the word out, pass it around to your friends. When it gets on the website and on TV, have people watch, have them watch the website and see what's going on. And yeah, again, thank you very much, and I will see you next time. Oh, and by the way, a shout out to my mom in Cincinnati. Hey, Mom, I love you. I'm on TV.